Hi, and welcome back to the Quilter's Candy Shop, where you will find sweet treats for the discerning quilter. Hi, I'm Carrie, and I'm the owner of the Quilter's Candy Shop, and I'm so excited you're here with us today because today we are on week 2 of our old garden basket quilt sew along. And this is the quilt, and I just love it. It turned out so great, and this pattern is super easy. Any beginner can do it, especially if you follow along. I'll give you all the little tips and tricks to get you to the end, where you will come up with a perfectly beautiful project. And I think this basket quilt is really nice for like a Father's Day gift. And I'm hoping we're going to be done in time for that. Now, it's not too late for you to join our sew along. There's no cost to participate, and of course you can watch for free on YouTube. The only thing you do need if you want to actually make the quilt is a copy of the pattern, Basket Full of Blessings, and you can find this pattern available for sale in our quilt shop online, and that is at thequilterscandyshop.com. www.thequilterscandyshop, that's SHOPPE shop.com, and we have these patterns for sale. And while you're on the site, if you need a kit so that you don't have to waste any time trying to pick fabrics, you can choose any of our great 8 colorways available. And here they are, super quick. We have our white chocolate, which is this quilt right here. It's done in the reverse. So the pattern shows with the light ground and dark baskets. This is done with the dark ground and light baskets, and it looks really great. You can also do it in our blueberry sherbet colorway. The main background color for the baskets is navy, and then it's accented with these cute sherbety colors and a little bit of caramel to top it out, and I think it's really pretty. Another really popular colorway is our Pine Forest Truffle, and this background color is a dark pine green, and it's mixed with a lot of great chocolate and caramel, and it is really delicious. But we also have some really fun colors as well. We have our Summer Taffy, and then for a little bit more seasonal colors, we have our Fall Spicy Icy, and I think this is going to be a really nice vintage fall color story. And last but not least is our Winter Fresh Mint, which is spearmint, peppermint, wintergreen, fresh mint, and it's very icy and cool. It's going to make a great French country farmhouse style. Well, certainly you can shop from your own stash. You just need the pattern. So hop over to our website and get that now. Now, let's get started. Last week was our introductory video where your homework was to get all of your backgrounds cut out. So you should have backgrounds that look like this: border, sashing, squares, and some strips, as well as this odd-shaped block. All the details for cutting this is in the pattern. If you haven't got this far, no problem. YouTube is forever, and so you can take your time and watch these videos as it works for you. This week's homework is to cut out the fat quarters for our baskets. Let's talk about the basket. Each fat quarter is going to actually make 2 baskets. So if you bought a kit from us, you have 11 fat quarters in your kit. You only need 10. That way you can pick and choose which ones suit you best. Or you can choose 2 that you only want to make 1 block and mix it up a little bit. Whatever you choose to do, it's going to look great. The blocks consist of a handle, a top, and this middle section with our Ohio star and a base. And those are going to be cut out of our fat quarters. In the pattern, there is a diagram layout down here in the bottom corner. You're going to use that guide to cut out your fat quarters. Now, the fat quarter in the diagram is laid out flat, but our first cuts are going to be folded in half for speed and accuracy. If you have a directional print for your basket, you will want to watch a little further before you start cutting, where I show you how to manipulate a couple of pieces in your layout so that you get them going the right way. For example, this basket handle is cut in line with this originally. So that will make, if you have, let's say you have a stripe that's going like this on your basket, that's going to make the lines going like this on your handle. If you want the print to go in line with your basket, then you will need to cut this in this direction. And so to show you how to do that. Well, I think we're ready to get cutting. Let's go. Okay, here is my fat quarter pack. My binding and my border I don't need for now. I'm just going to set those aside so that I can use this design board to put my pieces once I get cut, and then everything will be laid out and ready to go for sewing. This colorway is called the Lakeside Julep, and it's got this nice lemon and lime and watery blues and mint color here. So I just think it's really pretty, and I think it's going to make a great basket quilt. So let's get started. Okay, so here I have my 10 fat quarters that I've chosen, and the first thing you need to do is just open them up and refold them. So if you got them from a manufacturer, if they were pre-folded from a manufacturer, they might have been folded in half with the selvage folded long ways. That is not going to work for cutting into the pieces we need. So you need to open them up and fold them in half like this, so the selvage edges, the cut edge, line up together like this. Go ahead and stack them up. So we got one like this. Now, if you bought a kit from me, your fat quarters are already folded this way, so you can just open them up, and there's the selvage and the cut edge, and you can just lay them on top of each other like this. So that'll be fast and easy. See the benefits of buying the kit? We do half the work for you. Isn't that great? All right, so once you get all your fat quarters opened up, we'll get started cutting. Not all fat quarters are equal. If you've bought a manufacturer's fat quarter tower and you're using something like that, then your fat quarters are going to be pretty pristine, exactly 18 inches wide and exactly half of the width of the fabric. But if you've bought it from a store where they've created their own fat quarter patch, not all fat quarters are exactly 18 inches. This one is exactly 18 inches, and everything else here is a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller. Fortunately, in this pattern, we have some grace. We are not using exactly 18 inches in our cuts, so you will have plenty of fabric, even if your fat quarter is a little bit short after straightening. Take your fat quarter stack here to the ironing board and just give it a quick press. It'll be easier for stacking your pieces later if these folds are taken out. Okay, here I've got my fat quarter pressed, and I've lined it up on my cutting mat, just this fold along this line, just to get this sort of straight for your perspective for cutting. We're going to be layering a couple of fat quarters like this before we cut. So that's why we want to get this line nice and straight, and we want to get these folds stacked right on top of each other. Now, if you're a beginner or you don't have a lot of experience with rotary cutting, I recommend only 2 at a time. But if you're an experienced quilter and you have a really sharp rotary cutter that you absolutely adore, then 3 or 4 layers is okay, but I wouldn't do more than that. So I'm going to put 4 on here just like that. And you can see here how nice and stacked they are. And we're going to be using the 2 ruler method, and this is how we are going to make sure all of this comes out great. We use a nice square, and then this is our cutting tool. So we're going to slide this down, and you might have to peek and make sure where you have the shortest fabric. My shortest one, I think, is this green right here at the top. So I know that's going to be my cutting off spot. So I'm going to move my ruler all the way down to there, line this edge up with our perfectly stacked folds, and then use the square to make sure this is 100% perpendicular. Slide the big ruler away. Now we're going to cut through the whole stack, and in one swoop I have straightened the edge of 4 fat quarters. All right, so now we're ready to cut our pieces for our baskets. The first thing you need to do is go through and pull out any prints that are directional. Directional meaning maybe it's a stripe or an irregular plaid, or it might have a feature like a flower or a cat or a building. If any of your prints have those kinds of things that have a bottom and a top, those need to be cut separately. In the pattern, you'll see that we are going to cut strips across, and then the pieces that we need are going to get cross cut. And normally when you're doing this, you would go ahead and do that. You might cut this piece and then turn it and cross cut it, then cut your next piece. But we're not doing that on this pattern. We've got these stacked up. We're going to do all of our cross cuts first and lay them out on our board, and then we're going to go through and do the cutting. This is one way that we're going to be able to accommodate directional fabric as well as make the best use of the fabric that we have. Again, making sure your fat quarters are stacked nicely along the fold and that your fabric is lined up along one line on your mat. And we are going to use the 2 ruler method again to cut our strips. I'm not going to actually get to cut strips with you here, but you'll be able to see a quick demonstration. So you're going to use your square tool to keep your cuts perpendicular and your measuring tool to make sure that you've got the right size cut. Okay, and that's my last cut. And this is our leftover. I'm just going to fold this in half and add it to my stack right here, just in case I have an error in cross cutting. I've got these handy where I can cut a new piece. Okay, so here are my cut pieces, and I'm just going to stack my strips one right on top of the other. So these go here. These go here. They don't have to be beautifully stacked because we're going to take them apart to do the cross cutting. But this way we're going to keep everything organized. And there we have it all together. And we'll do all of our fat quarters and put them all on here before we go on to the next step. Okay, I've got all my fat quarters cut into the pieces for the basket except for these 2, and I think you could probably guess why. This one has a stripe with a foulard that's got a bottom and a top, and this one has a cute little dancing mushroom inside this diagonal plaid. So the first thing you need to check is that you've got your fabric top and the bottom going the same direction. Our baskets are actually cut going cross grain for most pieces. We have one place where it's a problem, and that is the handle. So you can't cut this handle along the cross grain. You have to cut it this way. So I am going to show you how you can fix that. I have done a map showing that these pieces here are the handles. They're going to actually move over here and get cut this way. In order to make room for that, you have to take these pieces and move them over into the next row. This does not change at all any of your strip cuts. But once you get your strip cuts, you'll see these will move here and these two will move here. There's plenty of room for them and it will not be a problem. Please note that this little diagram is not to scale. I just use graph paper in order to make my lines straight and look pretty. So like I said, for your initial cuts, these are all going to be cut exactly the same as your other cuts. So I'm going to do that now. Okay, so we don't forget that our directional prints are going to be cut a little different. I've put them on the top of my pile. We're going to cut those first, then we'll cross cut all the rest of them according to the pattern. All right, let's get started with the directional print. The map is for single layer, and in order to get these cut, you're going to have to pull these out and lay them singly. Okay, we're going to lay these out, and now we have to straighten this edge. So I love my little 3-inch square right here, and I use, again, the 2 ruler method. Line up this ruler to get the nice length. This makes sure everything is straight, and you butt it up against this ruler, which is going to give us the nice perpendicular edge, just like that. And I've made a good straight cut without crossing over. Using the measurement on the pattern guide, you're going to get your ruler, measure from the fresh cut edge on the left, line up along the straight line here, and then cut off the end. So we're right-handed, we're cutting off the right side. We're not having to cross over the top or go underneath, because that's dangerous and you should not do that. These actually will be extra because this strip is the handle. This is now extra. The next cut is with our directional fabric is going to be this wide piece. It has to be cut separately, and it's okay like this because we're not going to use that part to start. So the extra fabric goes out here. This is the part we're going to cut first. Because we're cutting singly and we're making 2 baskets, we have to cut 2 of these. Then this cut is the one that's in the map on the pattern. 2 of these. We are not going to cut the next 2 squares. We are going to cut the handle instead, which we would have taken out of this piece, but we're going to take it out of here. And this is going to make the handle on our baskets go the proper direction. And see, we had plenty of room. Now the next cut does take exactly all of your fabric. You're just going to open these up, put the selvage edge down here and the cut edge up here. You can stack these up or you can lay them out side by side, whichever you're more comfortable with, but however you're going to be the most accurate. I'm going to just layer these up right here. Okay, we're going to lay these out, and now we have to straighten this edge. Nice perpendicular edge, just like that. And I've made a good straight cut. Okay, now that we've got our straight cut, we're going to take our ruler, square it up along the edge, and cut. You're cutting through 4 layers if you've stacked it, or you can easily make 2 cuts from your 2 strip set. Now, this is where we are adding a little extra. We're going to first cut the 6 squares by doing 3 cuts if you're doing a whole stack, or if it's side by side, 3 cross cuts. And you will see the squares that we moved off the end to make room for our handles, we can now take off of here, and there's plenty of room. It's a little tight, so you want to make sure you're being careful with your cutting. There you go. This is all that's left. But that gets you the pieces that were in the previous row, and we just moved them over. The last cut is the easiest by far. There's plenty of room, and you are certainly welcome to cut everything all at once. So this is the one piece you do not have to unfold if you don't want to, but if you feel more secure by making it a single layer, you can do that. For me, I just that seems to me to be a little bit of a waste of time, since they're going to stack right on top of each other anyway. So there we go. I'm taking off the selvage edge, and now I can make my cross cuts. So using the information that's on the pattern, you can do 2 cuts. If you've got it folded in half, 2 cuts and you're done. If you've got it single layer, you need to cut 4, and this is extra. Okay, and here I have the directional prints all cut and ready to go, and I can see now that everything is all facing the right direction. That makes me super happy. Now I have to cut the rest of my fat quarters. You can cut it the same way as you cut the directional, or you can go back to the pattern instructions and follow that layout and cut the balance of your fat quarters into the pieces for the basket. Okay, here I have all my pieces cut, and I have taken the time to put them all in order, and let me show you what I'm talking about. If you recall, I cut my 2 pieces that were directional separately, so I need to integrate those into this stack. Now I've already done this with all the other ones. I'm just showing you on this one. All of these are still in the order from which I cut them. So now I'm just going to take a minute to just lay these out and then stack like kinds together, because we have 2 baskets from each print. So they're actually going to get used separately and yet together, which means you do need to get your pieces together to be the most efficient in putting all your basket together. And then after you've got these pairs matched up, then you need to put these in the order. They don't have to be in any particular order. They just all need to be in the same order. So now I'm stacking these in the same order as I have stacked all of these other ones. Now there's one exception to this group, and I'll show you that here. As you can see, each piece by size is all stacked together. The one place where it's going to be different is this piece right here. All 4 of these are the same size, and I could have integrated them together, collated them, if you will, into one stack. But it's going to be more efficient to have them used this way, because this is 2 of each color, and 2 of each color and 2 of each color and 2 of each color, but separate. And I think you'll see why when next week we start sewing all these pieces together. So that's your homework. Go ahead and get all of your basket pieces cut. Now keep in mind, as we go through the instructions, we have a wide variety of people who follow us, from very, very beginner who have never used a rotary cutter before to people who have previously owned quilt shops. So those of you who are experienced, we say thank you for joining us, and new beginners, don't worry, take it one step at a time. Okay, we'll see you next week for the next step in the Old Garden Baskets quilt sew along. Make comments below, say hi, and let's get to sewing something sweet. See you right here. Bye.